alone even stepmothers, because we believe there are even stepmothers who are God, who can parent a child and you can't even know, like, she's not the biological mother of that child. But then, even community at school, there is a way even some teachers tend to severely beat children. Like, for instance, on NTV there was a certain stuff which was trending, and even on UBC TV here. I got an opportunity to see that a child was beaten at school to the extent of death. That the mother to come picked a dead body instead of picking a child who is alive, whom she took at school alive. All these things added on me urge as a lawyer to bring out this thing of women and children rights. Because on a large scale, I see that women and children are very, very vulnerable in the hands of violence and domestic violence of all forms. That is why I say I should table this to community. It cuts across all Africa, not Uganda alone. In fact, I can say that in Uganda we are a little bit better. If you are to compare with other countries like Congo, countries like Sudan, in South Sudan and North Sudan, countries like Ethiopia, yes, Islamic countries like South Sudan, Islamic countries like the Arab world, you really see that women, it reached even an extent that women are not allowed to drive. Not of recent that a woman activist moved the motion or a bill to the Arab world. Currently, they allowed them to drive. So I was really seeing that kind of inequality, inequality that people imagine it is submission, yet on one way or the other, it is mistreatment. Okay. And violence.
I'm trying to understand your book here, which of course I've not read in its entirety, but of course I've scanned through it to know and to pick your thoughts on what you're calling, because you talked about here as a champion of ending violence. A champion of ending violence, and I think which is one of the things that inspired you to write your book here. Let me also pick this from you. What's the kind of family that you grew in? Did you grow in a family that was polygamous, in a family that, just your upbringing? I just want to know the type of family that you grew in and where you grew, and the environment and how it was, which is, I think, one of the things that could have inspired you to write this book.
Yes, I grew in a polygamous family setting. So I'm so lucky that I'm one of the persons who grew in a polygamy family, but I've been raised well. I was not subjected to ill treatment or my mother's being subjected to gender-based violence. I saw them with my father and they've been well through, even up to now. I come from a family which is polygamous, but they are very fine, and you can't even know that it is polygamy because they are one. But then, what I used to see in the nearby communities, because Busoga region is one of the regions...
You're born in Busoga?
Yes, where most of the men, or where polygamous families are found.
There are more in Busoga than anywhere else?
Yes, according to the research I've made. Most of the polygamous families are in Busoga, and it's known men have many women. Though there are those ones you find one has one wife. So what I used to see in these families happening, it was really worse. Women are beaten, are killed, men neglect responsibility, which was not on my father. My father tried his best, and he has been trying his best to make sure that there is equality in his women and peace. Yes.
Okay, well, that's important. Let's decipher the topic, the title of your book, The Mystery of Human Rights. What does that mean? What is mystical about human rights?
Yes. The mystery in this context of this book, of my book, is a secret. In any case, what secret is hidden under this book? The secret hidden in this book is basically the lifestyle, custom, and various disciplines of an African woman and an African child in a normal African society setting. What do I mean? In terms of nurturing, we Africans are different from the other world. that here we have things we accept or we take to be our beliefs. In any case, here in Africa, family or societies are governed by beliefs, traditional custom, and what that society and group of people believe in. So this mystery, I was trying to bring on table exactly what is happening, what used to happen, and what is happening currently now. So you realize that what used to happen is a little bit changing due to diversification and development in society and even Africa, because we believe we have developed. There are some of the things we used to practice long ago which are not being practiced now. For example, if we come to family, this book highlights that women were used to be subjects of labor. Believe with me, most of the men had a mentality, for example, because this book is Africa, it's not Uganda alone. In Uganda, there is a policy. Men get women with the major intent of providing labor. In any case, that's why they get many women. According to research shows that these women's major role is to provide entertainment and labor to their husbands. In that form of setting, a woman is not taken as a woman, rather as a laborer. What do I mean? How to bring that secret on board, that even people who may not be aware of what is happening in Ghana may know and come up with forms of assistance to help these women move away from that kind of setting to also becoming dignified people, because the world has changed. Women out there are educating children. Women are feeding families. Women are helping community. Women, for example, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, the former Rebecca Litwala Kadaga, she's a woman. She has helped very many girls, including me, and even others out there to be what they are now. In fact, I can say that if it wasn't for Rebecca Litwala Kadaga, I would not have finished this bachelor's degree of laws. She's a woman. She's not my relative, she's not a family member, but because she's a woman, she has played an additional role to the society by adding on more people who can also help the society go ahead. What do I mean? If we help women and children come out of the situation that is oppressive, a situation where their abilities and potentials are sat on, where they cannot come out to express what they feel, to express their will and freely work, we shall lose out. Because a few women, a few samples we have seen, women who have been given platforms to come out. Look at Samia Suluhu of Tanzania. We are really seeing a great job being played by them. Before Samia Suluhu, Tanzania was not recognizing that COVID is real. But when Samia Suluhu came, a woman, she has even put it at people's face, hey, there is COVID. You need to observe SOPs. What do I mean, you people? Women are really good. And if we give them the front line and the children, really, we shall have nurtured this society and mothered the whole Africa.
Talking about gender-based violence, which is another thing that we are grappling and fighting with as we battle the COVID pandemic, then we also have these issues. You'll remember that last year, as we just got into the lockdown, phase 1, we had so many cases of teenage pregnancies, early childhood marriages, and quite a number of those. And amazingly, these were more in Busoga region, specifically, I think to be specific, the district of Luuka and others, but majority of these were actually in Busoga region in there. Just looking at them, what do you think should be done now, especially in this particular lockdown? Because we all have these excuses of because our children are not in schools, then we are worried that they will get pregnant, we are worried that this will happen to them, we are worried that all this will happen. But of course, we have no choice. We can't take them to school because we are avoiding pregnancies, because we are avoiding all the things. Yet again, there is also a virus that we're battling with. What do you think needs to be done in homes now for all of us to restore sanity and to actually know that we have a bigger problem that we all need to synergize together and fight against?
Yes. I thank you, Mr. Jagenda, for this question. Now, as a human rights activist, I would say or advise that in this particular period of time, we should put dialogue as a first priority. In any case, people are all together. Mothers, fathers, children are all together. Even when there is a quarrel, you can't go away. So the most important thing is dialogue in this period of time. That you talk about issues which are of conflict or contention, so that you come to agreement. Number 2 is talking to our sisters and brothers on a daily basis. I really urge parents that you should not shy away. Because my mother never shied away, that is why I'm a lawyer today. That's why I'm an author today. She was always open to tell me things which would damage my future. She was always open to tell me. That's why I advise all of you parents out there to really open up. Sit with your daughters, sit with your boys, talk to them. Because you're a mother, you're a father, please talk to them. That will be the best thing to solve pregnancies.
We've talked about girl empowerment and the women empowerment, and that to some scholars or to some people, I think we're going to have an imbalanced society at the end of the day. But because we thought that we live in a patriarchal society where men take preeminence. But yet again, if we hype or overhype the empowerment of women, don't you think that again now dwarfs the boy child, that will come to a time when we have women so empowered up there and the men are inferior to them, fearing to even marry them and all the things? What will society be like if we also now got that imbalance? Because the idea is to balance and have that equality. But we seem like we might actually again lose the equilibrium and have an imbalance where we'll have the women up there and the men down here, and we're just wondering how that we think can be solved or managed.
Mr. Jagenda, my opinion would be, being a man is not a title given by these books we write. It is an ordination, a special title given by God. I don't think there could be any man to fear to get married to a woman because she's strongly empowered. One, because a man is a man, as I've told you, that title is not written in books, rather it's an ordination, special, coming from God. Two, when women get empowered, Mr. Jagenda, you should believe with me that once a mother gets a sugar cane, she may not eat that sugar cane alone. If you give a man a sugar cane and you give a woman a sugar cane, a man may consume his sugar cane and it gets done. A woman may not consume, may only eat a small piece of it and keeps the rest. Waits for the children to come back, or maybe when they've gone back at school, gives each a piece. You should believe this with me. All women on planet Earth created by God would love to prosper as well as their family is prospering too. No woman wants to be ahead and his husband is a toilet what? Digger, or maybe any other thing. As she goes up, she will try her best to pull her husband also to be at least also somewhere. So
is that what you think?
That is what I think.
And do you think that's true?
It is true.
Sure.
Yes.
Because you're lucky that you are a university graduate with a bachelor's of law.
Yes.
And I'm just imagining how many boys in Busoga would actually say, I'm going to marry Chazike, and just knowing that you even actually have a bachelor's of law. and they would imagine now you talk about his my Busoga friends who are maybe roasting chapatis and doing all the things. Thinking of a Chazike now, they actually know you possibly from the same village, and they say, oh, she has a bachelor's degree. How do I even, in the first place, go to her?
Mr. Jagenda, the question you've asked is right. Now, once a woman or once Chazike like me, I'm empowered. People who draw closer to me are empowered too. As you see me here holding a bachelor's degree of law, I think it is intimidation to be conned by a man who flies chapati, who bakes chapati, or
it would be intimidation.
Don't you think so? Mr. study agenda, don't you think so?
We'll take a break. We'll take a break shortly. Then we'll tell you the conversation. Whoever is joining us, I am with Chazike Alicia, a human rights activist, a lawyer, and of course an author of the book, The Mystery of Human Rights in Africa. We'll take a break and return shortly.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Therefore, understanding this remote excuse me, lady. Who do you think you are? A queen?
Hey, haven't you heard? Get Airtel Chillax bundles and browse like a queen.
Get Airtel Chillax bundles that do not expire and browse like a queen or king. Dial *175# or use My Airtel app.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
What does it mean to be closer together? It's taking the last bus home for a surprise visit. Closer together is strangers finding a connection. It's bringing home something much more than a box. It's the warmth of home, or the beginning of something new. There's magic in sharing the things that we love, because it's those things that bring us close together.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa. If we get vaccinated now, observe social distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly. Together we can beat this enemy.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Well, thank you so much, and we continue our discussion this morning on gender-based violence in our homes, especially in this time of the lockdown as we battle the COVID-19 disease that is with us. Now that it's terrible, more than what we actually knew. We need to up the game and see how to manage. Now, as we fight with COVID-19, we also need to see how to again manage our homes now that domestic violence and many of those vices are also on the increase in our different families. Coming back to you, Chazike here with me in studios. We talk about these issues of gender-based violence. We talk about quite a number of things. But we think that gender-based violence is actually as a result of empowering women, or not even empowering women. That's the cause of that. Now, it's an either-or. Many attribute it to the empowerment that you women have. Many think it's because of the inferiority, that lack of empowerment amongst the women. How do we balance this? Because on one end, it is empowerment that is causing these problems. On the other side, some activists are saying it's because the women are not empowered. That's why we have these problems. How do we balance it?
Now, this is how we should balance it, by both parties knowing their responsibilities and their roles. Before I can go to that or reiterate on that, I would love to air out this. Most women, according to research, are vocal. In many cases, they talk. And 90% of the women, them are women activists, but I would say this as the truth. 90% of the women don't talk for a man to listen. They talk for a man to react or to answer back. Men are known to be a quiet type, that most of them keep quiet. So as you quarrel, like, is quiet. All that hunger is continuing to build, to boil in him. As you continue to quarrel today, tomorrow, the other day, as I told you, 90% don't talk for somebody, for a man to listen, but they talk for a man to react or to answer back. So as this person keeps quiet, the stuff boils in him. As years go on, even others keep that stuff for even a year or 2 years, the next thing will be a blow, noise or alarm. We who run after that alarm don't see how many words or how many quarrels you have been quarreling that have been boiling in this man's heart. What we see is the blow or the punch that that man has given you. So I would urge all women that talk to listen. Now, let us all move to another step or an ideology. Let's talk to listen, not to talk for somebody to react, but talk so that a man can listen. That is the only way we are going to solve gender-based violence. Talk to be listened to. Don't talk to be reacted to. What do I mean? We people who come will judge the man who has given a punch or a blow. We shall not see what rotten or decomposing matter is in this man's heart that the woman has kept on paying for years and years. And that is what we shall call gender-based violence, because you all know it is any form or any form of ill treatment or physical violence. In any case, a blow, it can be a too much quarrel, any form of physical or emotional ill treatment. So to solve the emotional treatment, the ill emotional treatment, the only way is let us talk for men to listen. Yes.
Not for them to react.
Not for them to react.
What do you call human rights here? Because the discussion on human rights is also another very disturbing one when it comes to the Ugandan context. Human rights has also become a different industry of its own here, that people are getting filth rich through these human rights activities and being maybe activists of human rights, whatever they want to call it. What we call human rights, because to us here, even bad things now are construed as human rights. When we talk about things that our cultures do not even accept, don't even agree to or with, but we call them human rights because somebody brought this concept of human rights and put it into our societies that we now just carry it and take it. Do you think people understand what human rights are according to the proponents of human rights activists?
Yes, now this book will show you what human rights are. The core human rights that our society is supposed to observe or coherent to society and the world today. Buy a copy of this book, The Mystery of Human Rights in Africa. It will really show you what human rights are and how they are supposed to be observed in society. Now, to give you a simple brief background of human rights, we don't derive human rights from what people say, but it is driven from God. Way back in the Bible, there were human rights. God created us according to, if you open Genesis chapter 2 verse 1, it says God created man in his own image. He created man and woman in his image. What does it mean? It means God was showing some little bit of equality. Because if God was not observing human rights, then it means women could have been created to look like goats or cows. But we were created to look like men. A man has hair, I have hair too. Has flesh, I have flesh too. Which means God was observing enjoyment on an equal equilibrium, despite the fact that the other one was given a title of a man and I was given a title of a woman. But the intention of God was to treat ourselves equal. From there is where we derive the human rights today, that somebody has a right to life, has a right to education. As society has gone on to develop, many rights have come up, such as education. Long ago we used not to study, that is before Christ. There was no classroom education, that you are seated in class, you have to like study P1, P2, which they were not there. But as society goes on to develop with diversification, we have come to realize that in what God put as human rights, there are even others which we can derive out of that, such as the right to education. Now, our listeners, what I would love you to know about human rights is what you enjoy, not at the expense of the other, but what you enjoy without damaging another person's enjoyment, or without encroaching on your neighbor's enjoyment too. That is, in simple terms, what human rights can be.
For example, we in a pandemic, we are managing a problem, and the talk of human rights, of course, is there. That it's my right to move out of my house, to maybe go to the market, go to town, go walk on the streets or do anything. On one end, government is saying, no, for us to be able to manage the spread of this deadly virus by COVID-19, let's keep at home. Let's put away our cars. Let's do this, let's do that, let's do that. And the chance you can say is, no, I'm a lawyer. It's actually my right to drive out of here and then maybe go. I own a car, this and that. It is my right. So we tend to want to use human rights to at times break laws, to at times break decorum and all these things. How should we manage? Because on one end we have a battle for human rights. It's your right not to be beaten by police, but it's also not your right to actually get a police to beat you somehow. And that's when when it comes to human rights, and all these very nasty and evil things come to our heads, because that's what we marketing to the world as human rights. How do we balance it?
No, just as I've told our listeners, that human rights basically is what you do without encroaching on another person's right. That is the human rights.
Somebody will say, I must drive my car out of home, then go and work. I'm not encroaching on anybody's rights or so.
You are encroaching. Why? You are getting out of the house with a car. You are going at workplace. You will find the other people at workplace who may infect you with the COVID. You come back home. You also give that COVID to other family members. It means you are already encroaching the rights of family members. You are giving them the disease. I don't know whether you are seeing, Mr. Jagenda, what I'm saying. It means then that is not a human right, because you are using your right to encroach on other people's rights to health. You are moving out, going to meet the public, or going to see other people at workplace, where you will come back with the virus, and you give it to these own people innocently. It means there is a way that you are enjoying your right at the expense of others. Therefore, I urge people, please, this is COVID. Stay home, observe SOPs. There is no need to go to town now.
When we talk about domestic violence, then of course economic issues come in and step in. We are in times where now, if people are not moving out to go and work and do all the things, and they have economic challenges, how do you think that should be handled or managed? Because one, some people say, there is now domestic violence being meted on each other in the homes because men are keeping at home. They're not used to sleeping in the houses. They're not used to keeping in the houses. But now it is actually forced stay, that people are staying by force. They have no choice. How should they manage now that there is no money? People are looking for money. People are losing jobs. People have lost jobs. People have lost businesses. People have done other things to them. And they need to live and they need to continue. Then you, the women, of course, will not even understand that this man is not going out to work, so possibly there is even no money, but you keep putting the demands of telling the man that you're the man in the family, please provide for this and this and this and this, but you're asking somebody who you know very well has not gone out to look for money.
Yes. That is where the question of talk to be listened to, rather not to be reacted to, comes in. We all need to understand now the situation. The situation is not favorable for all people across the globe, not only in Uganda, in Ethiopia, London, everywhere. The situation is not the same. So it's all about women understanding, and even children to understand that the situation is no longer as it was. if there is no money for fish, please eat beans which are available, because the situation is really no. What do I say? Even though they are human rights, in this time, in this circumstance, or in this time of this pandemic, it is a situation which has just come, which nobody brought or which nobody was prepared for, but it is here. Meaning, what we should do, all communities, we should all gang up to help one another in the fight of this pandemic by doing what? Listening. If the situation is not the same, please go with what is there. Don't demand for what you don't see, because it's not there. Men are not working, women are not working, people in closed doors. Why should you demand from it every day? Eat what is available. And same the children. Don't put pressure on your mothers or your fathers. At this time, there is no money. Please eat what is available. If there is no yogurt or ice cream, please wait for lunch and eat the beans and portion readily available.
Let's go to your area, your home area in Busoga, where you come from, where you were born. We have this very big problem of teenage pregnancies, child marriages, and quite a number of vices in there. How are you personally helping your region of Busoga, especially the young girls there, to also aspire to become lawyers and writers like yourself? Because we see many of them there, as early as 14, 15, 16, 17, that's actually too far, when they are already mothers of a couple of children in homes, in a way. How are you helping them to see how they actually get out of this? Or you're also waiting for government to come out and protect, even when government has legislated, they've put up laws and all different legislations to see how to protect the girls and the children in this country?
I am not actually waiting for government. I, Shazike, as a lawyer, and a team of other lawyers behind me, we are working, we have a team, and we are continuing tirelessly to work on it to be better. That we are going out there, not only in Busoga, even here in Kampala, in Mitiana, Najela. We are giving awareness on the basics of education, how good it is, how important it is. And through this campaign, we have found out that even girls who are housemaid, who had gone in for marriage, a good number is coming out of being housemaids and going back to school. Just because we don't have support, that we should finance them well at school, but at least we have reached out there to a good number of girls, especially in Mitiana. In Busoga, a little bit, but not so much. But as we have helped many.
What do you think are the underlying causes of gender-based violence in our homes?
One is poverty.
And so, because poverty is still with us here, and some people are actually living in poverty forever.
And Mr. Jagenda, poverty is mingled with the lack of ability to listen. You should believe this with me. Because many people are poor, but not all poor people that are fighting or are experiencing gender-based violence in their homes. It's only poverty mixed with lack of I can say, not listening in any case. That a man, you can't listen to your wife, and a wife can't also listen to his husband. Neither can also the children listen. You can find such a family, the children beat the mother beats the children beat the father beats the what? When it's all katogu. Nobody listens to one another, and it is stinking poverty. Two, which can be a cause of gender-based violence, if I can see, is the environment where people live. That in most cases, if you live in an environment where the other home, the husband beats the wife, the neighbors, they also beat the wife, the other ones beat the wife. Now your husband will also reach an extent. I said, but now me,
I have never beaten her.
Yes.
Why shouldn't I also beat her?
Am I a man? And now you also pick on the what? The system to be uniform, to be the best all of. It's also there that because of the environment where you are staying, even when he doesn't have that habit, will develop that habit. Even it comes to women. There are women who don't quarrel. Reaches an environment, the other one quarrels with his husband, they fight every day, they quarrel every day. But now me who does not quarrel, what's the issue? I think I should also begin on him. And through that is what brings gender-based violence. As I've told you, it is mingled with a lot of talking not to be listened to, as it's keeping to be piled in somebody's heart. Now when he explodes it, one day explodes it with a punch or a blow. And now that is gender-based violence. Because you have punched physically and even emotionally.
Do you think government is doing enough to, away from the campaigns of we're talking, we have ads running on TV, we have all this, do you think government is doing enough to ensure that these things actually stop, gender-based violence, away from saying, go to a police station and we have a community liaison office there, we have a CLO, go to these, we have, there are these very good things that we read about in the Constitution and in different legislations. But away from that, do you look at any practical solutions or issues that government is actually doing that you, the private players, come on to supplement?
Yes. I can't say that government has not done anything. I'll be wrong. It has tried. Even though it has not done it to an extent that we expect it to do, but at least the government has tried. What do I mean? The government has brought up seminars on board, that they are married seminars. They are seminars for men and women, whereby they talk to them freely, because all rights entrance is free, meals are free, basically to talk to them and try to bring out this thing of gender-based violence, its effects and its dangers, so that these people's eyes are opened to completely avoid it and distance from it. Number two, by the government going ahead in this time to, if I can call it monopoly, in any case, if I'm not wrong, to monopolize women in some of the big government seats. Mr. Jagenda, isn't that also a contribution? Yes, because as I've told you, that if you lift up a woman, you have lifted up society, you have lifted up the world. And the way I understand women, women are these kind of creatures who can never let their family down. They always want to go up as their children and husbands are also raising. They are not selfish people in the way I know women, me as an activist. So, by government bringing these women on board, a good number like that in good responsible seats, I really see.
Let's end on this note. There's now what we've called the Nabanja money. Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Prime Minister Nabanja, Robina. We now talk about her money, and everybody is expecting to receive some money on their phones because of that. From your angle, where do you think this is going to take us? I am only looking at a situation where a woman receives money on her phone and the man receives money, which I think to me would be a plus. That if each one of you is getting 100,000, then the family has 200,000. It's actually a plan for the remaining period of I don't know how many days those will be. But don't you look at that as also something that is a good trigger for domestic violence, that a man will possibly get money, a woman gets money and says, okay, now wafunye. Why do you want us to use by it? Maybe you're going to use your money to again supplement or help another woman or somewhere. Don't you look at this as a recipe for a trouble in the homes when money now keeps coming in from the Honorable Nabanja?
Mr. Jagenda, true. It may be a machine or an instrument to act as a catalyst, also in domestic violence in different families.
So shouldn't government send money to people because of right?
It should give because there is a need. And what you should know, Mr. Jagenda, is that there are men whom they are going to give this money and they will run away.
With the money again?
You, yes.
Get the money and run away.
Yes.
How
they will not need to know what children are. No. That they can run away maybe and sleep at a colleague's home.
Because of 100,000?
Yes. And at least comes back when everything is.
So aren't you going to scare the Prime Minister from giving out money? Because if money is going to come and again scare people away and disorganize families, then would it be a good thing to do?
No. Now, if you are to count families who will be that or will have such violence because of that money, it will be 1% out of 100.
Okay.
In any case, the 99% will use that money effectively, and it will really add on reducing how the situation has gone out of hand. Okay. So I really urge the Prime Minister
Okay.
to give out money.
To give it out. Okay, and they shouldn't think about maybe causing problems. Well, Chazike, our time has run out. Finally, look into that camera and give your final comments, your parting shot on what people need to do going forward.
Yes, Mr. Jagenda, thank you for this opportunity of being on UBC TV. I urge all people to get a copy of this book called The Mystery of Human Rights in Africa. If you need a book, we can order. You can go to my Twitter handle. There are lines or numbers we can deliver. You can also go on my Facebook page. There are also numbers we can deliver the book, and you can contact. I have my salesperson who can deliver the book to you wherever you are. The number is 070 25 20 989. Please keep yourselves in an environment of knowledge. Knowledge is power.
Okay.
And another thing, I can urge you, our listeners and people out there, that in this period of time, let us understand one another. The pandemic is here. Hey, nobody brought this pandemic and nobody knew that it's coming. However, it is here. Meaning we should listen to one another and adopt a system of moving with what is available. We should all know across the globe life is not the same. However, we have to move on.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you so much, Chazike Alice Ruth, the author of A Mystery of Human Rights in Africa. I thank you so much. She's an award winner and champion for the campaign of End Violence Against Women and Children.
Yes, that was in 2016.
And that is 2016, yes. And she's also a holder of a Bachelor's of Law from Kampala International University. Well, thank you so much for having allowed to be in us here. And of course, the message back to all of you out there is even in this time over the pandemic, let's again be human in our homes where we are. We know that it is very trying for people to actually live in the houses with very little or without anything to feed on, to eat or to keep themselves going. But yet again, we need to put our synergies together. In the morning here, Chirabo Nyonyinton was hosting the spokesperson of the Kampala Capital City Traders Association, Mr. Isa Sechito. And in our interaction out of studios, he said, we just are talking to the traders, telling them we need to survive, then think about trade and business. It shouldn't be businesses first, it should be life first. Now, this is coming from the business community. They are saying, no, let's do anything possible to keep ourselves safe, to preserve ourselves for tomorrow. Because when we are alive tomorrow, then we'll do business. For example, when you talk about now, the late Evarist Kayondo, the chairperson of Kasita, he's no more. Even if the economy now boomed to 101%, Kayondo is not part of it. Kayondo is no more. Kayondo is not anywhere there. Now, his children will remain orphans. The wife will remain a widow. And you know, we miss him forever. But yet again, if we are alive and the businesses collapse, then we can know how to revamp and make them better. So let's do anything possible to preserve ourselves for tomorrow and manage it later. Finally from you, one word, and we go out of studios.
Yes, I send all my greetings. I send my greetings to my parent, Naova Scovia, in Chigulu, Mama Nakazi, in Uganda district, in Karurad, my sister Rachel, Mama Jelly, and Eunice Manishilavo.
Okay. Or they've all been watching this morning. My name is Jaganda Semakola Soka, saying we love you so much. Stay blessed for God and my country, and we keep ourselves safe. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this